People called him a good man, but they didn't know what he was hiding. He didn't break the rules to become evil. He bent them to do good, and that's what nearly destroyed him. Before this story unfolds, if stories like this matter to you, if you believe real stories can save real lives, please like this video and subscribe. Someone out there is still silent, and this story might reach them in time. People used to say Daniel Mercer was a good man. Not loudly, not in speeches or celebrations. They said it the way you talk about something reliable, steady, quiet, always there when things got difficult. Like a lighthouse in a storm. Present, but never asking to be seen. Daniel never argued with them, but he never fully believed it either. Because goodness, to him, felt fragile, something you could lose without noticing. His life looked simple from the outside. He worked in community mediation, helping neighbors resolve disputes before they turned into court cases, helping families navigate systems they barely understood, helping people talk when anger had already built walls between them. He volunteered at shelters. He listened, really listened. He believed rules existed for a reason. He believed fairness mattered. He believed patience eventually brought truth into daylight. That belief kept him calm. It helped him sleep. Until the message arrived. One evening, his phone buzzed with a notification that didn't belong anywhere in his world. No sendered, an "oh" greeting, just a question. Have you ever watched someone do everything right and still lose? Daniel stared at the screen, confused, uneasy. He ignored it, but the question stayed. Days later, another message appeared. We have. That was how it began. Not with threats, not with money, not with power, with recognition. When Daniel finally agreed to meet, they didn't bring weapons. They didn't bring accusations. They brought files. Case files. People who reported abuse, but were dismissed because timelines didn't align. Predators shielded by technicalities. Financial criminals protected by flawless paperwork while families beneath them collapsed in silence. They didn't ask him to hurt anyone. They asked him to adjust outcomes, to move a document from one folder to another, to delay one report and fast-track another, to surface information that already existed but had been buried by procedure. Nothing fabricated, they said. Nothing violent, only correction. They called it closing gaps. At first, that's exactly what it felt like. Daniel didn't accuse anyone. He didn't punish. He redirected processes. A complaint that would have expired suddenly reached the right desk. A background check revealed contacts that had been quietly ignored. A dismissed witness gained credibility when their full history, not the curated version, was seen. People who should never have had power lost it. Quietly. Daniel told himself he was helping the truth survive. But slowly, the requests changed. Not dramatically, subtly. A report needed to be backdated, not altered, just time-stamped differently so it could be considered. A digital trail needed to look continuous, so a case wouldn't collapse on a technical gap. A character reference needed to be unsubmitted. Still, no one was being hurt directly. But Daniel was no longer just revealing truth. He was deciding which truths were allowed to exist. Each time he hesitated, they reminded him of outcomes. If this proceeds as is, he walks. If this delay holds, she loses custody. If this stays buried, the pattern continues. They never pressured him. They didn't need to. They knew something important. Daniel would pressure himself. Because once you see consequences clearly, neutrality becomes a decision too. He told himself the lies were procedural, the harm abstract, the results real. And the results were real. Repeat offenders disappeared from positions of access. Corrupt networks collapsed when hidden links surfaced at exactly the right moment. People became safer. No one knew Daniel's role. His reputation improved. People trusted him more. They called him principled. That was the first thing that hurt. Because while they saw integrity, Daniel felt erosion. Not fear, not panic, a thinning. Like paint slowly scraped from a wall, one careful layer at a time. The worst part wasn't what he did. It was what he stopped doing. He stopped asking, is this right? He started asking, will this work? That shift didn't feel dramatic. It felt efficient. Then came the request he couldn't disguise as correction. A man had been reported multiple times. Each report was real, each incident documented, but individually, none met the threshold for action. Together, they told a clear story. The system refused to combine them. Daniel was asked to make them one, not to invent evidence, but to restructure the timeline so the pattern became undeniable. He sat alone that night, staring at his screen, his reflection faint in the glass. This wasn't correction anymore. This was authorship. He did it anyway, because he knew what would happen if he didn't. The man lost access. Quietly. Permanently. He never knew why he never faced trial. But people slept safely again. Daniel didn't. That was the night he understood everything. The system wasn't designed to stop evil. It was designed to use good people to do what the system couldn't afford to admit. Because good people suffer. Evil people don't question themselves. They don't replay decisions in the dark. They don't feel the slow ache of becoming something they never intended to be. Good people do. And that suffering was the safeguard. As long as Daniel hurt, the work stayed clean. The moment he stopped hurting, he would become dangerous. So they watched him, not for mistakes, for forgiveness. If Daniel ever absolved himself fully, they would replace him. He didn't expose them. He didn't fight. He withdrew. Stopped offering extra solutions, stopped closing invisible gaps, stopped holding everything together. And slowly, cracks appeared. Cases resurfaced. Processes stalled. Questions emerged. Not because Daniel attacked the system, but because he stopped carrying it. When they offered him release, it came gently. You've done enough. Others will continue. They never explained. They didn't need to. Walking away didn't feel like victory. It felt like loss. He lost the version of himself that believed goodness was clean. But he kept something more valuable. The ability to sleep without rehearsing excuses. People still believe men like Daniel exist. Maybe they do. But here's the truth he learned. Goodness isn't about staying untouched. It's about knowing how much darkness you can carry and having the courage to set it down before it becomes who you are.